Hey friend, welcome to Authentic Performance, the podcast. My name is Nat and I'm your host. At Authentic Performance, our mission is to provide education and advocacy for all athletes, developing awareness surrounding identity, purpose, and health, so athletes can live well beyond their sport. This week's guest is a family friend and former D1 football quarterback for Syracuse University, Clayton Welch. Clayton graduated from Chico High School and went on to play at Butte College, a local community college. Then he transferred to Syracuse, where he played for the rest of his career. Clayton now stays involved with athletics as a coach and trainer for football players. One football player he trained was my brother Ryan, who now plays at Harvard University. We actually got to record this episode while in Boston to watch my brother's last home game of the season. I know you're really going to enjoy Clayton's fun personality and the great insight he shares. Now here's Clayton. All right, welcome to the podcast, Clayton. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. We made it here. We're in Boston. First time over the States, doing it out here, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, so to start things off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
We'll start out where I'm from. My name's Clayton Welch. I'm from Chico, California. Some of you might have heard of that. The hometown state of Aaron Rodgers. I kind of followed his footsteps and what he did. I played 3 sports growing up: football, basketball, and baseball. And basketball was my love at first, and then it became baseball. But at the very end, high school, football started taking over. And I was lucky enough to play that for 2 years as varsity as a quarterback, and didn't get recruited too well. So I followed the footsteps in Aaron and went to Butte College. At Butte College, I played a year there, and Syracuse gave me a call one spring and went out there without really knowing what was going on. I thought it was in the city. It's not in the city. And so went there 3 years, got my degree, and COVID brought me back home, and here we are.
Yeah, and what do you do now?
I work with your dad selling lumber and buying lumber.
Very cool. Okay, so we'll start with the junior college experience. What was your experience like as a junior college athlete, especially staying locally?
So it's a lot different for me than it was for a lot of my teammates. Junior college in California is very difficult. There's no scholarships. A lot of the athletes come from all over the place. And I think most of us know that we're not as mature as we think we are at 18, 19. Some of us at 27. But for me, it was easy. I had my family. I had a lot of my friends go to that junior college, and it was phenomenal for me. I got to grow up and also live with my parents, who are my 2 best friends. But for the kids that didn't, I saw how they lived, living off ramen and noodles. And it was just a grind, PB&J. And so just very difficult. But being home, not for me. It was nice. And I was able to share, the family experience, got to bring a lot of my teammates over. I was very grateful that my parents allowed me to do that and kind of give them that safe place that they didn't really have being away from home.
Yeah. Did you enjoy having not only like your family support, but like people who watched you in high school, like getting to stay in touch or like have people come watch you, like that kind of support, being close to home?
It was very cool. It's funny you say that, because I didn't know really the support I really had. We had 2 different high schools, and there's a very big rivalry, and it's very competitive. So you had your Chico High side and your Pleasant Valley side. When you go to the school of the area, the one junior college around, that everyone supported that school. So it's very cool to see everyone kind of come together. Your rivals in high school were now your friends. Their parents were cheering for you. Everything was super cool. So I really enjoyed it. There is nothing like high school football or junior college football, in my opinion. So it was very cool to see a community come together for one team and go support, especially when it's 110 on a Saturday afternoon game and you still have a full crowd. It really cool.
Yeah. From your experience, how do you think a junior college athletic program can prepare you for a higher level of play? So, like, obviously, you started at JUCO and then went Division One. So, where was your preparation in that season for a higher level?
So I was very lucky. Butte College is one of the best football programs for junior college. They prepared me like no other school. I think I was more prepared when I went to D1 than anybody else in that aspect. I give all credit to the coaches. I would tell anyone that my junior college experience I wouldn't change for the world. If I got offered by anyone out of high school and I knew the experience I was going to have, I would still go to Butte College. So those coaches, we film, just a work ethic you had to put in, not during practice, not during film studies. It was cool to see the life they lived that really motivated me because those coaches put in more time than anybody I've ever seen. And I wanted to follow in their footsteps and prepare as much as they did because I wanted to be on the same playing field. And I didn't think it was fair to the team or the coaches if I didn't work as hard as them. And the knowledge, the X's and O's and everything, I mean, they were brilliant. They've done it for years. Jeff Jordan, Coach Aaron Rodgers, Rob Snelling did. Coach Hayes played for Utah. He's been around the game for a long time. And then our defense coaches were amazing. They've been around 20 years at Butte College, and our defense was always really good thanks to the coaches. I mean, athletes are just half of that.
Yeah. What about on the other end, like some of the unique challenges being at a junior college? I know, like, you were only there for 1 year. Typically, people could be there for 2 to 3, but then you may move on too.
Yes.
So you're not there forever. Like, that's even, you won't be at a 4-year school forever. But if you go straight there, you're in one program. What's the challenge of being in that program and then going somewhere else and having to kind of start over?
For the ego, I would say for me, what's the biggest thing? It's fun to say now because it really made me mature and grow up. But the transfer to junior college was mostly ego. All the kids, we all thought we should be somewhere else, right? We weren't ready mentally. Physically, some of us were, some of us weren't. But mentally, we just didn't have it. The X's and O's, everything. So that's why I give all credit to Butte College making young boys into men. And, a lot more than just that. Better people, more productive to society. Transferring into a D1, D2, NAIA, anywhere, it's a little different. You come in, you're a little more mature than your class, but at the same time, you're not a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star. So there's a balance of trying to figure out where you are. I would say that for my circumstance, it was interesting. It didn't really play in my favor, but I've heard great stories too.
Yeah. Okay, so now talking more about like the recruiting process. What was that like? You said didn't have a ton of it during high school, but what was it like both during high school and then going to your junior college and being recruited there to then go?
So high school was interesting. I had one offer from the Air Force Academy. Was not mentally prepared to do that at all. I have more respect to men and women that serve than anybody else. It takes a lot, and I was not ready for that. Had a lot of colleges talk to me, but no one really bit. I was very raw. I had talent. I didn't have fundamentals or skill. I was just someone going and playing football. I wasn't a developed quarterback. So it was interesting because I had a lot of coaches talk to me, but never felt that any more than that. It was intrigued, go to a junior college and we'll see how you progress. So that's what I did. And then the junior college coaches really pushed towards the colleges and they really wanted us out. Their whole job wasn't to win games, even though it was to get the kids out and go pursue their dreams, which I really respected. So same thing kind of happened. Coaches talked to me, but no one bit. And then finally I got a call from a gentleman named Dave Bowler randomly. And I had one of our other quarterbacks in the car driving to my home and, talked to him, said, we're going to have our quarterback coach come out and watch you. And after I hung up the phone, we started hooting and hollering. And it was fun. They came out and shot me an offer about a week later after that quarterback coach came out, Sean Lewis, who was actually the OC at Colorado now with Prime Time. Other coaches came, but it was late in the spring, so I didn't really want to be in Chico another year. Grew up there my whole life. My dad kind of wanted me out. My mom wanted me to stay, so I know it was time to go spread my wings and mature even more. But all these other coaches came and talked to me, but at the end of the day, I wasn't going to take a recruiting visit. I wasn't doing this or that. I wanted to get out, and that's what I did. They were the first offer, so I gave them a okay, signed the paper, and we went off.
Do you think that was the best decision, or would you change it? Or
I think everything has its circumstances with everybody. They all have a different path they take. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have to, but at the same time, it worked for me.
Yeah.
But I would go on a recruiting visit. I would go see where you're going into. But going to the junior college, I was mature enough to go find my way around. I wasn't 18. I was 20. I could go live on my own and make the most out of what it was.
Yeah. So you've talked a little bit about, with me, about the intensity of that process. So how did you go through that process of recruiting and also just enjoy the game? Because there is a lot of stress that comes with like figuring out where you're going, the offers, the recruiting, all of that. So how did you enjoy the process and continue to enjoy the game of football?
High school was different. It was during the season, which put a lot of stress on me, myself, and a lot of my teammates. Coaches come to a game, you want to perform more, you want to do better, you have more stress, and that didn't always help. Junior college was different. They had a routine. Everybody came in the spring. It's not during season. So they come watch practices. They didn't watch games. They would send game film out. That helped out a lot because at the end of the day, it was all about winning. Stats didn't matter. Nothing. None of the coaches who were coming mattered. You just went to go win a football game as a team. And that was a culture they brought. So there was no stress. The games were intense enough. And then practices would get more intense when the coaches came. And it wasn't, they would come look at somebody, and it could be anybody, right? So if there was a coach there and we knew he was there for our offensive tackle who was amazing, well, hey, coach, can we throw the ball a little bit more today? It's already in the game plan, running backs over there doing drills. So it made it more intense, but also fun.
What was it like playing Division I? Was it stressful, like being on that big of a stage, or did you still enjoy football throughout your whole time there?
I enjoyed it my whole time there personally. There was a lot of things different. It was more of a business, and I don't think I'd be as stressed. I would be more stressed out if it wasn't for Butte College and preparing me for that situation. And, my favorite quote is, don't count your reps, make your reps count, which was, I think I took that wholeheartedly, and I didn't get the opportunity I wanted, which was fine. Taught me to be a better teammate and not be the person doing everything, right? I got to learn how to be productive in society, being in the job, just not being the top dog, just being a good teammate, being a good person, and figuring out how to manage my ego with also competing per se. But on that scale, it wasn't much different. It was really fun being there. We had a lot of perks, a lot of gear, a lot of this, a lot of that, which was also awesome. You got to enjoy the little things, the little details. And I knew my opportunity would hopefully come. So I just had to keep my head down and do what I love. And that was playing football.
Yeah. So you talked about the recruiting process. For anyone who might be going through this process, whether it be for football or any other sport, do you have any advice, both with like the experience of going to a junior college first or being at the D1 level? Is there any advice for someone going through that process?
100%. I think the biggest thing here is if you love what you do, it doesn't matter where you go. Not D1, not D2, anywhere where you think you could go play. I wish I could do it over in some aspects of I just want to chase D1. That's all I ever want to do. That was my dream. And I accomplished it. But did my ego get in the way? Did I ruin a chance for me to go somewhere else, and didn't matter where, but go play football and get more playing time and do this and that? Everyone gets caught up in that D1, so cool, which it is. I think it's cooler to go see the field or the court or anywhere and go play. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. So, just in general, not necessarily only in athletics, but being at Syracuse, how did that time differ from being at a junior college? Like both academically, socially, and then maybe a little athletically.
At that level, it is very serious. 6 a.m. lifts. We had a class period from 8 to 2, practice at 3, film at 7, home at 9:30, one day off, and it was just routine. So it was very intense, and it was different. I mean, you kind of understand this being in Arizona, time difference. It was very hard being across because at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm ready for bed, and everyone's just getting off work or getting out of school. So it was difficult at first, and it was intense, but it kept me away from boredom, from homesickness per se. God, Syracuse is very cold. I'm from California. I didn't need to be outside running around because not really built for that. So it was intense, and it kept me away from distractions.
Yeah. What about academically? Was it hard to balance when you have that tough of a schedule, or did you have a good amount of support?
I jumped into 22 units my second year there, and that was probably the toughest semester of my life. Was it tough to balance? No, because our academic support group was really good. I had a tutor 3 times a week. They took very good care of us, made sure that we were keeping up to date with all our classes. It got to be too much, and you just kind of had to power through. But I wanted to graduate at a certain time, and I was able to do that with pushing, the credits and everything. So balance, no, but sometimes it would get a little difficult. Morning lifts, tired all day, knowing you have to go perform at practice. And with football, it's a little different too. We have Monday through Thursday. We take off on Friday for a game. So I didn't miss a lot of classes, which was good. But that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay, so you touched a little bit on moving far away. So what did that look like? How did you adjust to not being at home and then also just being so far? Like coming back home would have been like a pretty big trip. So like obviously it didn't happen super often as it, if you're living at home or close. So what was that like?
Well, I was telling you for last segment that we were talking about all this time. Well, I moved in summer. There's only lifts in summer, lifts and runs. So I had 3 to 4 hours and then nothing for the rest of the day. So moving there first was a little difficult. Got a little homesickness. I was the only one on campus for about a week. All the returners moved off and went home for a week before fall camp started. So I was sitting there alone, not much to do. And then you get a little homesickness, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think us athletes are on a mission. And the mission was to get a degree and play football.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult. Going home was difficult. Wasn't cheap, wasn't efficient, but 2 times a year I got to do it and go enjoy. If we made a bowl game, it was a lot shorter during the winter, which we wanted that, but it made that next semester that much longer. But all in all, when you have something to do, it didn't make it as hard.
How was it moving back home after you were finished with your degree?
Never thought I would do it, ever. I never thought I'd live back in Chico. COVID happened. A lot of things happened. Changed a lot of plans. I would never change it for the world. I'm back around the people I love and care about. Got to meet an amazing family from Fall River. We get to do things like this. Shout out to Allison, my favorite Osborne. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It's funny how life works. Make the most out of all of it and enjoy every little step because you never know where you're going to end up.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back just a little bit. When you were on the new campus and with a new team, how did you build community, both like within your team or like did you meet people in classes? How did you kind of find people there?
I don't know how students who aren't a part of a sport or anything are able to do it. luckily for us athletes, we go in and find a team, and they're almost our family immediately. I got to go around and meet some families that were just amazing, kind of had that home cooked meals, the homey vibes, everything that made you feel comfortable. A lot of coaches would take care of us. We had our FCA, fellow Christian athletes, and that was a really cool one. We'd always go to a house. It was usually our quarterback coach's house, the Martins. Mom Martin's the best cook you ever meet. And we would just go sit back, enjoy, have our feet up, and just be around people that we really cared about. The community, not so much. The campus is not really a part of the community. We're up on a hill. Barber shops, I would go talk to people, made a lot of connections there. I'm really shy, if you can't tell. So I try my best. But at the end of the day, we talked about time. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But parents, supporters of, Syracuse athletics and all that, I got to meet a good amount and still talk to them, which is very, very cool. I really appreciate all of them.
Yeah. Okay, now moving into the transition out of sports. What was it like for you to no longer play college athletics or athletics in general, just stepping away as an athlete?
For me, I don't know how to explain it. It was different. My father always told me, ride the horse till it bucks you off. For me, I didn't get injured. It wasn't like right away. It wasn't like something that was dramatic. It was long leading, and it just took its time. And finally, I just ripped off the Band-Aid. It was weird at first, but then I started finding ways to be competitive within myself. My job, I can be competitive with myself. Took up golf seriously. Well, sometimes break my clubs, but I don't, which is very nice. But for a lot of people, they identify themselves as their sport. I loved what I did, but it never made me who I was. And it's hard to figure that out for a lot of people. But we have to use our sports to become who we are. I think it really builds who we are, but it doesn't make us. It takes a village to raise people. Your father always told me that, and I love that saying because sports is part of that village. Your parents, your coaches, your friends, and everything. And we have to look back on that and say, I had a great time. It made a lot of who I am, but at the same time, it is not who I am. So for about a week, I was down and out. Didn't really know what I was doing. I think that was a big part of it is I had a plan to go to our pro day and see what would happen. COVID shut down our pro day. But they dragged it along. It wasn't like, hey, we're done, we'll do it next year. It was like, we'll do it next month. And I guess that kind of helped too, right? Because I just slowly but surely kind of had that feeling of maybe, probably not. Yeah, not going to happen. All right, done for good, right? So that helped. But for some people, it's that injury, something like that, where I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So it's very difficult in that sense. But at the end of the day, our sports do not make us. And we just got to look back and enjoy what we did. And what are we, like 1%ers of the population that we're even lucky enough to play wherever we did past high school, even high school, even junior high school, we're just lucky enough to be able to do what we did.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably helps when you play more than one sport too. Like if you specialize so early on, you can get so wrapped up in that being who you are. I do think like being in a small town sometimes makes it hard when it's like you think that that's all that people see you as. Like it's important to have other things that you can kind of fall back on, which is like why we get a degree, hopefully, so you can.
We mean hopefully. We got one.
Well, no, you did.
You're up there.
I know.
Coming up soon.
Everyone else in general, like that's the goal, is to find a degree that you care about enough to find a job that will fulfill you in a way maybe that your sport did before, because that's where you'll be spending most of your time.
Yep.
As you were previously, playing your sport. So were there any ways where you did struggle with finding your identity outside of football, especially when you were at the D1 level, and that was like most of your schedule, like obviously a big part of your life? Was it that hard at all?
It's funny, right? Because, being authentic, that's what we're here for, right? Change is what I'm thinking of. The only thing that's inevitable, right? We change. So a lot of people think that if they change, they're not authentic, right? They're fake. They're switching up. They're changing, and we look down upon that, right? I don't believe in that. I think we're changing, we're evolving, we're growing as people. So the identity switches too. I went to New York, small town, going to New York. I had to change personality a little bit, not to fit in, but to, kind of understand them. I never switched the core values, and that's the authentic in us. But you do change the way you talk. I know I got a Southern accent from my quarterback coach, and stuff like that, right? But you might feel like you're going through an identity crisis and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's just change, and it's going to happen. But you have to just keep your core values.
Yeah. So what are some of the benefits, or have been some of the benefits, for having athletics as a part of your identity? So like, for example, there's a lot of research out there that shows that like having a strong athletic identity specifically leads to higher self-esteem, work ethic, other positive things. So why is that important to have as a part of your identity? Not completely your identity, but why is that beneficial? Like, why do we do sports? Why is that such a positive thing?
I mean, we could go on for about an hour of why. I mean, just the major things are team building, being able to work with people, leadership values. And I think everyone has a little bit of leadership skills in them. They all are shown different, but you find a way to do that, right? I was the leader at Butte, right? And I was a quarterback, and I started, and we did good, and doing it the right way. Syracuse, I wasn't the starter, but I was able to lead in different ways. I was able to take people aside if there was something going on and kind of explain my side of the story of what I see. And it's different coming from someone under a third string, a second string, than it would be from a starter, right? And so you just learn little values that you could really take into life. I wouldn't know how to talk to adults as well if I never played sports. I would never know the work ethic that, I think we all know as athletes, we find a little extra gear that we probably wouldn't have found if it wasn't for sports. And we go on and on about it, but it's a great ordeal. The big one's teamwork, right? Being able to talk to people and work together to get to an outcome, not turn your back on someone and figure it out yourself, because two brains is a lot more power than one.
Yeah. And it leads to good qualities and characteristics in the workplace, wherever you're working. I mean, obviously you talk to people all the time.
I'm shy. What are you talking about?
Very, very shy. Friends with everyone, but
some days.
But you probably learned a lot of that from having to talk to more people. Well, being put in the situation where you were talking to more people, more adults probably, because you don't just talk to people your age all the time at work. You've got, a range of people.
Your father is young.
Yeah, not your age, but that's
young.
Okay. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about how you've stayed involved in sports. So give us a little rundown of how sports are still in your life.
I want to start off by saying a lot of athletes go take on a coaching role or do something like that to stay involved because they think it is their identity and that's what they have to do. And we need more coaches in this world. We need really good coaches who really care, and it's not just a paycheck. But it doesn't have to be. I kind of want to explain what I do. It doesn't have to be your whole life. It doesn't have to be a head football coach or 24/7 basketball coach or whatever it is. I do personal trainings. Very rare. I don't try to reach out. I don't promote it. I do quarterback trainings or football trainings, whatever. And if they hear about me, they call me. I'm more than willing to work with kids. I love kids. I love working with them. They're just so fun to be around. I guess you could call me a little kid. But that's how we're here right now. That's why I'm in Boston with your family, is because 2021, I think it would be, I get a call from Danny Osborne from where I think we were at work, and hey man, blah, blah, let's talk about lumber, to I would like you to come work with my kids, see how it goes. And I mean, I've never met a family like you guys. I'm very appreciative of all you guys do. It's been a blessing, but your brother was so much fun to work with, and he kind of kept me doing it, right? Because we get to do stuff like this. We get to go enjoy the success of a young man or woman who are doing something they love. And I don't do that full time, but I'm able to make a little money through it, and I'm able to enjoy it. And that's how you could stay a part of your sport. And all these athletes who have played more than high school are the 1-2%ers, right? So people want you to work with their kids. They are very excited for someone. And I got this 6-year-old kid who just thinks that I'm the most amazing thing. He'll figure out in 5 years that, yeah, you're just another person, but it's so cool to see that these kids light up that you've done something like that. Junior college, it's the coolest thing to them. You played college athletics. It's just so cool to see. And we have a lot more knowledge than a lot of people who just played high school. So I would say that if you want to keep it a part of your life a little bit, to just go try to do private trainings, go try to, if basketball, go to a gym and go see a kid. It doesn't even have to be for money. You just go in there and, hey, try this drill, try that. And then you build a relationship, and there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Do you still enjoy playing not competitive, high intense college games?
No, I do. Competitive. Oh yeah. Open gyms, nonstop.
Okay, yeah. Open gyms.
Basketball, yeah. Football, I like watching games and watching them get into it. Not like the upper level, but the Pop Warner and stuff, and kids just being kids. Going back to a quick story about that is I started my last game of my senior year at Syracuse. I felt like I was at Pop Warner again. I had the biggest smile on my face. It was like a dream come true, right? And you get in a rhythm of it just being a job. I haven't felt like that since I was in Pop Warner. It was like first love came back, and it was just honeymoon stage, right? And it was so amazing. But the competitive side of staying into it, no, not with football. But with other sports, I try to golf. But no, not with football.
When did you start golfing?
Probably when I was 10, but I only golf 10 times a year. And then I couldn't sleep some nights because I could shoot really good or really bad. Like next day, it could be vice versa. So my competitiveness, I lost sleep. I was trying to figure out why I would hit a good shot and a bad shot. So I started taking lessons and trying to get competitive within myself. I'm not trying to go pro. I'm not trying to go to leagues, but I want to sleep better some nights. So,
and you want to be able to talk about how good you are at all your lumbar functions, since that's what you guys
I don't talk.
do is talk. Oh,
that's
yeah.
your dad.
Sure.
He's the golfer of the group.
Okay, so you've touched a little bit on it, but what are some ways that you try to influence the players that you're coaching or mentoring or whatever? Both, obviously you're working with them on football skills, or even at an open gym, you might be talking to someone about basketball, but there's also an aspect of teaching them how to be functioning members of society. What does that look like for you?
So much to that, right? I think that all of us have looked back on our life and really wish we did a little more in circumstances, right? So, after every practice, I coach 7th grade basketball, and go thank your mom and dad for getting you here. Just stuff like that where it's an everyday routine, because I was very appreciative of what my family did, but at the same time, I wish I thanked them every day. And it might have not been. We were young, who knows? But just the little things like that. And then you try to teach them just to be good humans, right? Thank you, please, anything like that. Probably be please, thank you, but I'm a little messed up in the head sometimes. But you want them to be good humans to everybody. I'm a big believer in athletes are looked up to. Someone could argue with me on that. I'm going to win because we are looked up to. It is a cool thing if we act appropriate and, are good people. Mm-hmm. So a big thing for me is a lot of these kids are learning how to, cross someone up. They fall and they start yelling. We just had an open gym or a tryout. The kid fell. I'm not sure if he'll ever play basketball again. I don't know. Maybe he grows, maybe he doesn't. But these kids were laughing, doing the O, and that is unacceptable. So we ran because of that, because you don't do that in a work job. If someone messes up, you're not like, oh, you're not very good, So I tried to teach them just morals on that and how to just be productive in society, because in a job you can't just clown people, and just being good to people, because we are looked up to. And when you try to bully people because of your power, you're not looked up to anymore.
Yeah. How, just going off of what you just said, how did you feel like growing up playing a sport? Did you feel like there were a lot of eyes on you to be, like a good role model or influence, especially like in college? Like, did you ever feel that, or are you just kind of reflecting now on like how much of an influence you have?
Probably reflecting. I mean, I felt eyes, but I never, wasn't disrespectful to people. My father and mother raised me right. I probably shouldn't say to everybody, I had a competitive spirit, and when they treated me like just a Chico High football player, I probably wasn't the most respectful people to our rivals, but that's water under the bridge. And I just reflecting on it, that we have been through it, and we've seen it, and these kids are not ready for it yet, but they will be if we give them the right knowledge to be able to, and they use it or they don't. And I'm not a perfect coach, and I probably could do a lot more. And I do try to do a lot right, but I try to tell these kids, I learn from everybody, go, you got your AU coach, you got your parents, you got your grandparents, take all you want from everybody and make yourself. It takes a village.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this conversation?
What do I want to add? I thank you for having me. I think everyone has done a fantastic job on here that I have watched. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I don't know why you're so stressed out before this, but I had a great time being here. I hope everyone enjoys it. I'm really excited to see your mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I think we should do it in the Uber on the way to the game.
Nice.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, you're not done yet, because there's one last question.
Jellyfish. What?
The question that everyone gets to answer. What does it look like for you to live authentically?
What does it look like? No, I'm joking. What does it look like? That's a great question. I think that authentically, it's different for everybody. But for me, I try to be very, very positive in everything. I went down high school, probably junior year. I wasn't very happy with a lot of things that went on. Maybe it was pressure with sports. Maybe it was a lot of everything. But looking back on it, I just wasn't happy. And so now I just try to make everyone else happy. I like to talk to people. I want to hear about their life. I want to just take even the bad things and try to look at the positive. There's certain things you can't do about that, but we go day by day, and there's little things that really frustrate us, and we let it get to us. I don't want to live like that. I want to live like I'm happy, because I am. I got great people surrounding me. I got a great family, and we live a very good life. And so authentically, that is who I want to be. That is who I try to be, and that's who I am.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Killed it.
Killed it.
Yep. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We would love to hear what you found valuable in this episode. So please DM us on Instagram at Authentic Performance, or leave a review. They're super, super helpful for us. We're so thankful that you're on this journey with us, and want to invite you to be a part of the Authentic Performance fam. You can check out more of how we're supporting athletes at theauthenticperformance.com. Also, let us know what you want to hear on the podcast next, or who you want to hear. We appreciate your feedback and want to give you the best possible resources and support. In the meantime, think about how you can live authentically. See you next time.